All right, Quick Tip Tuesday coming at you every single Tuesday at 8 p.m. with another quick tip. So recently I've been receiving a lot of inquiries about being a landlord. This is a very, very hot topic. A lot of people are scared of being a landlord. A lot of people, when I first started, were trying to steer me away from being a landlord because they had a lot of misconceptions about being a landlord. They were scared, fear. They were trying to throw their fears on me. Thank God I didn't let them. So today's Quick Tip Tuesday is about being a landlord. What a lot of people now, I just want to prepare people for being a landlord. So a lot of people now that are new landlords or want to be a landlord are getting a lot of misguidance. So I want to talk about all the expenses when it comes down to being a landlord. So I like breaking down the expenses into two buckets. Well, a few buckets. So number one is you have to think your mortgage on the property is not the only expense. Keep that in mind. A lot of fake gurus out there are saying, oh, you can profit $5,000 a month on this property, $2,000 a month on this property, but they're only thinking about the rents that come in minus the mortgage payments. That's wrong. Number one, you have to pay for utilities. There's a lot of shared items that you have to take care of. If there's lights for the house, you have to take care of. Water bills you have to take care of. If there's any heating or anything outside that's not in the specific units, if it's not split, you have to take care of that expense. So that's one thing to keep in mind. That's an ongoing expense. Another one I want to split between long-term maintenance and short-term maintenance. Every month, well, not every month, but you should always set aside a small maintenance budget. So things can always go wrong on the property. They could be minor, they could be big. So the minor ones can be maybe replacing the toilet. Toilets are not that expensive. Maybe the labor definitely costs you more. Changing a toilet is not that difficult. You can always hire someone. I usually hire out everything for my jobs. Networking is key. So keep that in mind. Always network. Small expense can be changing the toilet, maybe extermination on the property if there's any infestation, changing smoke alarms, small leaks, little pipe issues, maybe certain section of the tiles is getting, there's issue with the tile repair in the bathroom or maybe kitchen, maybe if the basement floods, if there's, your tenants are flushing wipes, that's something you have to keep in mind. So you're always going to learn through the experiences. Whatever you had issues with the previous tenants, make sure it's in the lease to avoid them for your next tenants. So that's why you always learn as you go. If there's a pipe burst, make sure you take care of that. Always winterize your properties if it's vacant. If it's a small roof patch, it's a little small patch, but be careful if you take the shortcut route each time. If you do the bare minimum, you're basically prolonging issues. You're pushing on the issues later down the road, and they can become a bigger expense item. So those cover the small maintenance. It's always good to have cash to the side for those small items, and it's also good to have cash aside for those bigger items, the bigger ticket items that will cost you more, possibly more than $1,000, more than $3,000, depending on what's going on. And I like to categorize those with the roof. That could be a big ticket item depending how much space you have, how big is the property. Roof is one. If you have to redo an entire kitchen, maybe if it's outdated, and depending on what's going on in the area, is possibly you're not gonna be able to rent it as fast. Redo the bathroom if it's outdated, possibly new siding, new furnace, new condenser, depending what type of heating and cooling you have. So that can run you a couple $1,000. If you want to put possibly a washer and dryer set for higher rental income, new floors. If you want to put maybe your hot water tank goes out, that's something you should definitely put aside for those longer expenses. So if you're trying to buy an investment property now, you have to look at those bigger ticket items. Keep that in mind. Okay, this furnace is kind of old, may have issues in the near future, so you should start saving up for that. You can never guess what the life of the actual unit can be, but it's always good to set money aside for those items. So just please keep that in mind, because expenses, past couple months on some of my properties, some of those big ticket items had to come in place and I had to take care of those. So that's why you should always have those items to the side. And if you have, depending on how many units and which areas you're buying, there's specific inspections you need to pass, and you have to be up to code. So for instance, I had a recent green card inspection, which in the state of New Jersey, if you're have a multi with 3 units or more, you have to have pass certain guidelines with the state inspection. So they usually do an inspection every 5 years, and it's basically for safety hazards. Make sure you have exit signs on the hallways, and if the lights go out, there's emergency exits. Those lights go on. Smoke alarms, self-closing doors, so stuff like that. You should have money to the side, because those do come up not as often. So it's good to take care of those, because if you don't want to fail that item, because that could be an issue. Also, there's state programs if you have Section 8 tenants, which I do. I recently had to go Section 8 inspection, and they called out some items that I had to take care of quickly. If you don't take care of those items, no more Section 8. They can remove you from the list, and the tenant will have to move. Can I charge a tenant monthly rental price for big appliances like the fridge, washer, and dryer to save that money for repairs? Actually, I'm not an actual expert attorney, but I know you should check within your state and maybe ask an attorney. But from my understanding, yes, you can, because I actually read another lease from another person in a bigger building, which is they actually were charged a monthly fee for the fridge. So it's good to be creative like that. So if you bring it to a new tenant, just include that in the lease. You have to pay for that. If you have parking, that's a luxury, so you should definitely charge extra for parking, or boost it up in the actual rent to bring up your actual rent. So back to the Section 8 inspection. So keep that in mind. So you have to take care of those inspections. If you don't, you can lose either the Section 8 or any state programs that would pay for the tenant's rent. And you don't want that, because Section 8 is amazing. They pay on time. They pay once a month. They pay the first of the month, and it always comes in. So make sure you set aside money for those repairs, because you don't want to have you don't want to regret owning an investment property. It's a lot of benefits to owning an investment property. The good thing about it is all those repairs are tax deductible, because you're improving the actual your properties, and you can deduct it on your taxes. Just be careful on how much you deduct, because if you want to invest for the long term, it can hurt you. So basically, if you deduct it from your taxes, meaning you make less on the exact property, but if you make less on the property, you might take it as a loss. So if you take it as a loss, your income can go down. And if you want to go around and buy another property or buy different properties, maybe refinance, it can actually hurt you. I'm not a tax expert. Speak with your tax expert for any advice, but just be careful. Just expense what you actually spent. A lot of people want to go over, but just speak with a tax expert. Before I end it off, anyone has any specific questions on being a landlord? So just to recap, this is, if you want to be a landlord, you must watch this. Just make sure you're putting money aside for maintenance. There's small maintenance, long-term maintenance for those bigger ticket items. For the percentage, what you want to put aside, usually about 5% of the total rental income, it depends on the area and it depends on the property. If you're getting higher rent, that 5% can be higher. For the long-term expenses, probably about 10% of the total rent, depending also on the property. If it's an older property, you may want to put more money to the side, but we can definitely dig deeper on how I analyze properties, maybe like a whiteboard and things like that, so you can get more familiar with it. Because of all the rents coming in, you should have set aside for each item. And another expense can be a property management. If you want to manage your properties now, that's good, for you can learn the process and things like that. But later down the road, you want it to be more passive, possibly. So you should think about paying a property manager and include that into your expenses to see if the property is still profitable. At the end of the day, you want it to be profitable. Will any of these type of info be in your monthly newsletter? Yes, they will. So anything real estate, I'm creating a newsletter that will go out this week, end of this week, before the end of this week actually. So it would have all tips real estate. So landlord, how to keep your property up to date, possibly how to efficiencies for like the holidays, all things real estate. I want to give value to everyone that follows me. I definitely receive a lot of different inquiries on different sides of the real estate, on the loan side, on the buying side, on the investment side, how to upkeep, networking, possibly like contractors, how to maybe spring cleaning, what good things to keep up with real estate. So if you're not signed up for the newsletter, please sign up. Link is in my bio. Where can we sign up? Link is in my bio. So sign up if you haven't signed up yet. The first newsletter will be out this week, and it will be once a month. If I keep getting a lot of inquiries, I might update it, but for now it'll be once a month. Before I wrap up, I want to say thank you everyone for joining. If you have any topics you want me to discuss for next week, Quick Tip Tuesday, just reach out to me, send me a message, and I'll add it to the list. All right, everyone. Have a great rest of your night.